Clara never planned to spend Christmas at her late aunt's lake house, especially not alone. Yet there she was, tires crunching over fresh snow as the familiar shape of the old wooden house emerged through the trees. The lake lay frozen and silent, a sheet of silver under the pale winter sky. Clara sat in the car for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel, reminding herself this trip was practical: sell the property, settle memories, move on. It had nothing to do with escaping a city apartment that suddenly felt too empty after a painful breakup she refused to think about. When she finally stepped inside, the lake house greeted her with the scent of pine and dust. Every floorboard creaked as if whispering her name. She brushed snow from her coat and noticed the decorations her aunt had left behind: faded stockings, a chipped ceramic Santa, and, inexplicably, a sprig of mistletoe still hanging from a wooden beam. Clara smiled despite herself. Her aunt had believed Christmas magic lingered if you let it. As dusk settled, the wind picked up, rattling the windows. Clara lit the fireplace and began unpacking, humming softly to calm her nerves. Suddenly, the lights flickered, dimmed, and went out completely. She froze, heart racing. The silence felt heavier without the hum of electricity. Wrapping herself in a blanket, she reached for her phone. No signal. Just as anxiety crept in, a firm knock echoed through the house. Clara hesitated before opening the door. Standing on the porch was a tall man in a wool coat, snow dusting his dark hair, a toolbox in one hand and a sheepish smile on his face. "Sorry to bother you," he said warmly. "I saw your lights go out. I'm Ethan. I live down the shore and usually check on the place in winter." Relief washed over her. Candlelight flickered as she invited him inside. Ethan quickly found the fuse box and had the power restored in minutes. Grateful, Clara offered him hot cocoa. They sat near the fire, trading small stories: her unexpected trip, his quiet life by the lake. Laughter filled the room, soft and natural. Then Clara noticed it again: the mistletoe above them. Their eyes met, a gentle pause settling between them. Neither moved, but something unspoken sparkled in the warm glow, hinting that this Christmas might hold more than she'd planned. Morning arrived quietly at the lake house, pale sunlight spilling across the frozen water and into the kitchen. Clara woke to the comforting scent of coffee and for a brief, confusing second wondered if she was still dreaming. Then she remembered Ethan, the power outage, the easy laughter. She told herself it had been nothing, just a kind neighbor, but her heart felt lighter than it had in months. Later that day, she found Ethan outside repairing a loose railing along the dock, his breath forming soft clouds in the cold air. He greeted her with an easy smile, as if they'd known each other longer than a single evening. Clara offered to help, and soon they were working side by side, their hands brushing occasionally, each accidental touch sending a small spark through her chest. Ethan joked about the lake having a personality of its own, how it demanded care but gave peace in return. Clara listened, realizing how deeply rooted he was to this place. Over the next few days, an effortless rhythm formed between them. They skated cautiously on the frozen lake, laughing when Clara lost her balance and Ethan caught her just in time. Inside, they baked cookies from a recipe her aunt had handwritten years ago, flour dusting their clothes as they teased each other. Each shared moment felt simple, yet meaningful, like discovering warmth in the middle of winter. One evening, as snow began to fall heavily, the wind howled and trapped them indoors. The fire crackled, casting golden light across the room. Conversation grew quieter, more honest. Ethan admitted he once had a chance to leave the town for a bigger job, but something always held him back: the lake, the sense of belonging, the belief that love might find him if he stayed. Clara's smile faded as she confessed her own truth. She'd come to the lake house to hide, to figure out who she was after a relationship that ended without warning or apology. Silence followed, thick with understanding. As Clara stood to add another log to the fire, she realized she was beneath the mistletoe again. Ethan noticed too. This time, neither pretended it wasn't there. He stepped closer, asking softly if it was okay. Clara nodded, her heart pounding. Their kiss was gentle and uncertain, filled with warmth and surprise. But fear rushed in just as quickly. Clara pulled back, murmuring an apology she couldn't fully explain. Though Ethan respected her distance, disappointment flickered in his eyes. The magic lingered, fragile and unfinished, as snow fell quietly outside. Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in silence. The lake lay still beneath a blanket of fresh snow, and the lake house felt unusually quiet. Clara moved through the room slowly, her heart heavy. The joy of the past few days had awakened something she wasn't ready to face: the possibility of staying, of risking her heart again. By dawn, she had made her decision. She packed her bags carefully, leaving the house exactly as she'd found it, except for the warmth she felt certain would fade once she drove away. As she carried her suitcase to the door, Clara paused, her gaze catching on the old lantern that had once belonged to her aunt. It no longer worked, its glass cracked, its light long gone. Clara sighed, feeling the weight of unfinished goodbyes. She stepped outside into the crisp morning air, snow crunching beneath her boots, determined not to look back. "Clara," Ethan's voice cut through the stillness. She turned to see him standing at the edge of the dock, breathless, holding the lantern. Somehow, impossibly, it was glowing. He crossed the snow toward her, eyes bright with nervous resolve. Ethan explained he'd spent the night fixing it, remembering how she said her aunt believed broken things deserved second chances. He told her he knew she was afraid, but love wasn't about guarantees. It was about choosing to stay, even when it scared you. Tears filled Clara's eyes as the truth settled in. She wasn't running from the lake house, she was running from hope. And yet, standing there with Ethan, she felt braver than she had in a long time. She set down her suitcase. Snow began to fall gently, each flake shimmering in the early light. They returned inside together. The fire was lit, the tree glowed softly, and the mistletoe still hung from the beam, waiting. This time, Clara didn't hesitate. She reached for Ethan, kissing him with certainty and trust. The world outside faded away as warmth filled the room. That evening, the lake house shone like a beacon, lanterns glowing against the snow. Clara watched the frozen lake sparkle and realized some places don't just hold memories, they create new ones. Wrapped in Ethan's arms, she understood that Christmas magic wasn't something you searched for. Sometimes, it found you right where you chose to stay.